All right. Hello. So, like Rebecca said, my name is Sydney Strunk, and I am a senior from Ottumwa, Iowa. I am majoring in biochemistry and molecular biology and Spanish. And so this summer I was the Dimensions Fellow in Orthopedic Research. And like Rebecca said, Dimensions is the pre-health program here at Cornell. And so I was out at Children's Hospital Colorado, located in Aurora. So a little bit about Children's Hospital Colorado is located on the University of Colorado's medical campus, and it's a really state-of-the-art facility. It's consistently ranked in the top 10 as one of the best children's hospitals in the nation. It's a huge hospital with over 3,000 pediatric specialties, so families will travel great distances to have their children seen here. Additionally, virtually all of the research that comes out of the Rocky Mountain region is produced by Children's Hospital, and this comes from all disciplines and specialties, including orthopedics, which is where I was working. So within orthopedics, I was working in the Sports Medicine Center, and this is my research team. So this is Dr. Julie Wilson. She was my site sponsor and principal investigator. I also worked very closely with Kiyomi Daoub. She's a research assistant. Along on the team was Dr. Kyle Nagel, and finally, Patrick Carey, fellow Cornellian. So my project was focused on something that has been making headlines recently, concussions. We were more so interested in what happens after an athlete sustains a concussion. So typically, athletes will appear asymptomatic anywhere within a couple days to a week after their injury. So they're passing the test with flying colors, but what evidence has shown is that brain and motor function abnormalities may actually persist beyond this time period. So while they're passing the test okay, there's still some things going on, and these abnormalities increase their risk for a musculoskeletal injury. And so a musculoskeletal injury, or MSK injury, is a fracture, a strain, or a sprain. And this link has been documented in collegiate athletes, but no one has looked at high school athletes. So the goal of our project was essentially to look at the relative injury risk of athletes with a concussion versus athletes with a musculoskeletal injury. How are concussion athletes more likely to be re-injured and have a secondary injury versus, an ankle sprain, an athlete with an ankle sprain? And the overall implications of this is if a concussion athlete is more likely to be re-injured, then we need to take another look at our return to play guidelines and maybe keep our athletes out a little longer before they go back on the field or the court or what have you. Okay, so to go about doing this, we used a national database of high school sports injuries. And since we are working with people under 18, all of our information had been de-identified. So essentially we were looking at these nameless injuries, and we needed a way to be able to link more than one injury to the same athlete, because we're trying to track these athletes over time. So I helped with my team. We created a matching algorithm based on a number of variables such as age, height, and weight, because we did have those variables available. And this matching algorithm led to around 10,000 athlete matches, and so then it was my job to go through and manually review the matches to make sure they seemed logical and what have you. And so this is where I was working. Even though I was conducting medical research, I was not in a laboratory. I was in cube land, as it's called, at my desk with 2 monitors. All right, so what we found is that concussion athletes are not at an increased risk for a secondary injury. So if you have a concussion, it's typically 33 days before the athlete is re-injured, versus if you have a musculoskeletal injury, it's about 34 to 34 and a half days, so not significantly different. These are very preliminary findings. There's a lot of different directions that we can take with that, and we plan to do that here soon. So this internship had a really large impact on me. In particular, so first and foremost, the research process itself. I learned to find these research articles that are related to my project, sort of decipher them, and compile all the information into a paper. So I spent a lot of the summer writing a manuscript about our project that we are actually submitting for to a journal here soon, so hopefully get a publication out of this. That'd be really exciting. And I learned a lot in terms of specifically medical research. So we had to have our project approved by an institutional review board. And they essentially looked over whether or not the project was ethical and whether the rights of our subjects are being protected. So that was sort of a new realm for me. And I also really learned the importance of teamwork and collaboration in conducting research. We were able to really make the process run a lot more smoothly, because each team member sort of brought this different component to the table, and we were able to feed off each other and gather ideas, and it was really cool to see. I really liked it. And in terms of confidence, I gained a lot of confidence as a researcher, as a person, I guess, but as time went on, I sort of became a lot more independent, quit relying on sort of others for questions, so that was exciting. And in terms of networking, it was a great opportunity to meet a lot of physicians, research assistants that are more than willing to help me out in the future. But perhaps the biggest area where that was impacted by this experience were my career plans. So in addition to sort of data collection, I had a lot of tremendous shadowing opportunities with a lot of different doctors and physician assistants. So going in, I was interested in physician assistant school, but after shadowing both PAs and doctors, I realized that I think that the role of a physician is more so where I see myself. And I also liked the idea of being able to be a physician and still have a research component to it. So the clinical care and research, I really like that balance. And so currently, I am looking to take a few years off before applying to medical school. I was already sort of thinking this, but then I was talking with Dr. Kyle Nagel, and he had taken 2 years off between undergrad and medical school, and he said it wasn't enough. Like, he wished he had taken a lot more time to explore his other interests. So right now I'm applying to English teaching positions abroad in South America and Central America, and hopefully hear back from them soon. Of course, I got to do a lot of other fun things. Met BB-8 at Denver Comic-Con, but also some real life skills too, like living in a big city and utilizing public transportation. Missed the bus a few times, but yeah. And lastly, I would just like to give a huge thank you to my research team, my faculty sponsor and advisor, Craig Tepper, the Cornell Fellows Program, the Dimensions Program, and everyone else who has supported me in this process. Thank you.